Hello, this is Pigsy doing a video. Yeah, just a quick video really. Just touching upon parapsychology really. Looking at things like dementia, and that we often think there's just old people that have dementia, and that younger people can have dementia as well, different forms of it. Some of it comes from having an injury to the brain, but it doesn't necessarily rule out things that are happening within this dimension we live in. There's things outside of that, and a classic kind of example I was thinking about is that I was talking to this lady's daughter, and her mother's got some dementia, and she talks about how she sees a dead cat, but the dead cat can also transfigure into other things. So the dead cat, like a shadowy being, can turn into a black dog and other stuff like that. And so we had a little chat about that. And she also told me about She also told me about how she would see people on TV. She would see the TV, and she would think that certain people on TV are these other people, which I don't know. I don't think it's particularly odd, but it's kind of interesting how the mind can perceive things and how that influences the person. And for somebody who's say younger, having a strong kind of experience, that would seem kind of like paranormal, but it could be also certain neurological factors could be playing. I mean, it could be something they're picking up on, but what they're doing is something else is happening there, and that the almost like having a hallucination. Those people that have got disorientated and got lost in woods. It could be that they were in the woods and they took an injury to the head in some way, and then they've gone off and or something's affected them in some way, and then it's led to some strange behaviour. And then what can you do? They find this person's dead in the woods, they're naked, or they just ran off and got completely lost. Maybe they're kind of what they perceived, where something should be, it wasn't. There's other people as well. There's people that have, it's either their equipment's gone faulty and they've trusted their equipment 100%, or they've gone faulty, and that's quite hard. When things don't add up, you just say to yourself, hang on, what's going on? You have to do a kind of reality check and say, right, what's going on here? And then think it through, and then that's kind of how you sort of steer in a sort of clear direction. It's the same as if you started getting drunk. You have to say to yourself, well, what's going on? How drunk am I? I'm under the influence, so I can feel things different, and then you figure it out from there, really. I mean, I've had it where I've been under the influence, but fully conscious of it, and it's kind of strange, because you kind of end up babysitting yourself in some way, which probably doesn't make too much sense, but it's like when you're tired, you can feel your body's physically tired and you want to give in, but then you kind of the conscious part of you sort of focuses really hard on getting yourself motivated to move and do something else, so that kind of kicks in. So there's a lot of cases where there's some odd things. I wouldn't rule out there's something that might have happened to their brain in some way, and some form of disorientation has taken root. It could be that they had a kind of severe episode or something. And there's also other stuff like things like epilepsy, other things that can affect the brain. It could be that you're not well. I mean, it could be that in later life some people are affected by COVID. If you're a young person and you've caught it so many times throughout your life, maybe it's caused some sort of a brain injury, because it does damage things in your body, your organs, the brain. So there's lots of potential for things like that. But I also don't rule out that when the filter's taken out of your mind, and you perceive something, maybe you're perceiving what's really there. It's a bit like this woman seeing these sort of animal spirits. Maybe she's identifying something to do with the animal, and it's got some type of animal guide with it. That's a wolf or something. You know, the way humans think of guides, and animals have certain guides. So, or maybe it's its original form. It originally was a wolf, and then its spirit's transitioned into a cat, and now it might be going to human. The same person has said she's looked through the window and seen monsters and things like that. And I've sort of like taken it quite light-hearted, because sometimes you just joke around. Oh, she could be perceiving something out there in the garden. Look at him. I think I had a load of my colloidal gold this particular day, and did I have any chugger or anything? I'm trying to think. Probably not. And I sometimes go to a churchyard and I meditate in the car, because it's a little car park. It's all quite relaxed and so on. So I'd like to do a little bit of a morning meditation. I might do it for half an hour. And yeah, I don't think of it too much. But I sensed a tree type spirit. I could see like the car was covered in a bush, so there's all this plants grew around this tree, like it was encased in it, and it had these like white eyes. This tree, this sort of like oak face next to me, and it was interesting. But then again, I was meditating underneath a tree, so for the tree not to sense some kind of energy going on, and I got quite deep. There's a sensation. It's kind of, you can feel it in your nervous system. I think what happens is that you kind of your body charges up before you wake up, and it's kind of like unlocking a bit of that. And it's just in that mode. It's quite difficult just to get in that particular kind of mode whereby you're not going in too deep, but then you're coming back out and you're kind of hovering. You're trying to control the different brainwave states, I guess, and maybe align your brainwaves with some of your conscious brainwaves as well. A bit like today, I did a meditation and I felt as if I didn't know where it was. So I was asleep. It's like consciously I was asleep at some level. And I found that quite interesting. Another thing as well that's really interesting on the spiritual side, a thing for things like dementia and so on, is that if somebody has dementia and they fall asleep in the daytime because they've been up early or something, it usually causes the dream to become meshed into the reality of the person. So it makes me wonder, when people sleep, the reason you forget about dreams is you're supposed to forget about dreams. Get any closer? Got any closer? I think you want to join the video. But it's very interesting. It's a bit like this chap I know. He said he was on a train earlier, and there's no way he was 87 years old, so he's having these dreams. The thing is, most people have dreams, they can't remember them. And so why would somebody who has memory problems have a much more vivid dream state, memory, and remember it, and then mesh it in with their wake state? So yeah, I think it's the part of the mind is a kind of conditioning, part of it is a control, and I think these sort of come off these safeguards to do with your mind. I mean, as for myself, things that have developed is a bit of tinnitus or tinnitus, and it's trying to understand what that means. You normally just think, oh yeah, it's some sort of ear damage or something like that, but it's a bit more, when you're suffering from it, it's a bit more confusing. it goes away, it comes back, it can be more high pitch, it can resonate differently, other noises that you come in contact can either make it worse or better. There's a lot of potentially different things about health conditions that might unlock something else. So I don't know, I mean, from my perspective, is to keep an open mind about things. I never close the door on what, it could be something more to reality, but I think I would be blind to say that it would come under one particular framework, because, it's sexy, basically. Like to say, oh yeah, it's got to be paranormal or something. Got some interesting chap behind me. His motorbike. It's just his helmet and everything looks really dark. It's all in black. It's just a little light behind me. So that's pretty spooky. So anyway, I just got to do some more research on different things. There's definitely some things I've had experience I can't explain. Like you feel like you get touched. It could be your nervous system. Maybe got bed bugs I've got to sort out. And other things like that. Things that just don't make sense. Or things enter in your dream that don't make sense. Because there's one thing, the human mind, and then the other thing's going to share is we all got to have a certain consciousness. And I think it doesn't really matter what you are, that consciousness exists within you. So it's one of the things. Earlier on I saw my mum, and she was doing some sewing, and she said, oh, there's a spider, a big giant spider. And I looked at it, I did grab it. I didn't have to. I mean, what had the spider done? It'd probably come out and had a look at her and think, what is she doing? She's sewing something. In a weird way, the spider could probably relate to that. She's weaving, and the spider's looking at her weaving some giant thread, thinking, Jesus, is that a big spider? She's pretty technical. I don't know. Right, anyway, this is Pigsy sign off. That's what you're saying.